I dare say if we can win this one. Aha. So far, so good. There's no soundtrack with this. Watch this crow. Oh, it's got a wire and it's got some food down there, but it can't get the food at the bottom of the beaker. No, it tries and it tries. No luck. That gives up. No, it doesn't. Look what it does. Now that's pretty good, yes. Give that bird a hand, yes. Clearly more insightful than the cuckoo chick. But actually, I hate to disappoint you, but that crow has seen hooks before, has been given hooks before. It's not quite as, this is not Einstein. This is still not as clever as we might initially be inclined to think. All right, I've looked at amoebas, caddisflies, and some birds. Now we leap ahead to one species, our species, just 10,000 years ago. This is at the dawn of agriculture, shortly after the dawn of agriculture. Paul MacCready, the late wonderful Paul MacCready, made this calculation. He calculated that at that time, if you put all the living human beings on one side of the scale together with their pets and livestock and weighed them against all the terrestrial vertebrate biomass, that is all the animals, not the insects or the worms and not the fish in the sea, but just the animals, that the human beings plus their livestock would amount to less than 1% of the total. Well, that was 10,000 years ago. What do you suppose that percentage is today? The percentage that human beings, their livestock and pets make of the terrestrial vertebrate biomass. Any guesses? It's more, certainly. 60. 60%. Do I hear any advance on 60? It's like an auction. 98%. That is an amazing biological change in a very short time. Just stunning. We have engulfed the world. Here's what MacCready says about it. Over billions of years on a unique sphere, chance has painted a thin covering of life. Complex, improbable, wonderful, and fragile. Suddenly, we humans have grown in population, technology, and intelligence to a position of terrible power. We now wield the paintbrush. So we want to understand how that came about, that technology and intelligence. Wonderful book by John Maynard Smith, the mentor of our host today, and Urs Zachmary, The Major Transitions of Evolution. In that book, they describe a series of sort of great moments in evolutionary history where some newly evolved development really changed the game. And they list the Eukaryotic Revolution, sex, multicellularity, and language and human culture among the great major transitions. Now, I'm going to briefly review the first of these, the Eukaryotic Revolution, because it bears a striking similarity to the one that explains what we might call the MacCready explosion. Here's a lovely new diagram of the Great Tree of Life. It's by Leonard Eisenberg, and you can get it at this website if you're interested. What we see here, as we go radially, we get time. So this is the beginning of life on the planet, and it starts with bacteria and archaea, and then we get the eukaryotes. And everything from here over is a eukaryote. All of this diversity of life. Basically, to a first approximation, every living thing that you can see with a naked eye is a eukaryote. And here, by the way, there's the famous Cambrian explosion, where we get this sudden increase in diversity, sudden, over several million years, over several tens of millions of years. And way over here, maybe right there, that's the division of us from the chimpanzee. Now, yeah, you can see it a little closer. All of that fan out of life is due to the Eukaryotic Revolution, a major transition indeed. What happened? It happened about 2.5 billion years ago. And here's what happened. There were only simple cells, even simpler than an amoeba, because it's a eukaryote. And they were just living there for 1 billion years or so. And then one day, prokaryote A and prokaryote B came together, and A engulfed B, or B invaded A. Well, which was it? Did A eat B, or did B invade A? When you're a prokaryote, it isn't so clear. Basically, if A takes B apart and uses the parts, A is eating B, and throwing away all the design, or most of the design in the process. If B does the same to A from the inside, the same thing. But what if neither one breaks the other up and they join forces? This is what happened, and it only had to happen once. And it created a single thing, the eukaryotic cell. The result was a more complicated cell that was fitter. And the rest is history. Lynn Margulis, my friend and not quite colleague down the road at University of Massachusetts, is the scientist who's most responsible for getting this into the textbook. She didn't invent the idea, but she's the one who fought for it and fought well. And we can see at a glance in this simple diagram what happened. On the left we have pushed the wrong button. On the left we have a prokaryote, relatively simple. On the right, it's like a jackknife with more blades. There's just many more moving parts. There's a whole lot more complexity, and that's what's important here. By the way, for those of you who've heard about this, there's the mitochondria, and they have their own genome. That is the best evidence that this is how this happened, the so-called endosymbiotic origins of the eukaryotic cell, is that every cell in your body, every human cell in your body has both its nuclear DNA and its mitochondrial DNA, which your mitochondria are the direct descendants of that original engulfee at the birth of the eukaryotic revolution. Now, as I say, eukaryotes are more talented, more versatile. That's what makes multicellular life, visible life, possible. Now, why do I talk about that instead of just language and human culture? Because I want to show that there's something very similar happened in one species so far on this planet with the invention of language and human culture. In other words, we're getting now to the point of my slide with the picture. What happened is that human culture came on the scene, and suddenly individuals got the benefit of all the R&D, all the research and development that had been